सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः। गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परं ब्रह्मा तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। तपोभिक्षीणपापानां शान्तानां वीतरागिणां मुमुक्षूणामपेक्षोऽयम् आत्मबोधो विधीयते। Forty-third shloka, page number 107. अरुणेनैव बोधेन पूर्वं संतमसे हृते तत आविर्भवेदात्मा स्वयमेवांशुमानिव। अरुणेनैव बोधेन पूर्वं संतमसे। When there is tamas, the darkness, as soon as the arunodaya happens, meaning the sun is yet to come on the horizon, but even before the sun can hit the horizon, the light has already started coming. What happens to that darkness? Hṛte, though it has been existing, it suddenly gets removed, dispelled. It has existed pūrvaṃ. Pūrvaṃ, before it was there, but then as soon as the sun is yet to come, but the rays start coming before the sun comes. Those delicate, beautiful reddish color, that alone is sufficient to remove the darkness. Tata āvirbhavedātmā svayamevāṃśumāniva. Amśumāniva. Just like the sun, before it can dawn, its rays have dispelled the darkness. tata eva āvirbhavedātmā. Āvirbhavet. Avihi is to express, or to express with glow. Āvirbhavet, to express with glow in the presence. Avirbhava is a word that is used in Sanskritam as well as in Telugu, is to come, meaning their presence is known. Similarly here, how old is this avidya? Pūrvaṃ, anadi. Here anadi does not mean without a beginning. It means that a beginning cannot be ascertained. A beginning cannot be ascertained because the light, because of the avidya, you cannot say exactly about avidya. When did you not know? So, do you know French? So, I don't know. Since when? That question doesn't make a sense. And about something which we did not have an idea exists, and we end up saying, if there is something that exists, and I ask, did you know it? I said, no. It is like the confusion of somebody that you are being communicating with, and there are tons of messages exchanged. Tons of text message exchange, WhatsApp, SMS, whatever you have exchanged. And when they call you, did you read the message? And of the mail, which are you talking? What are you talking? For the further conversation, there should be some specificity to it, right? And then if the conclusion is, what is the point? I keep sending, you don't read. Which are you? What are you referring? When you throw the light on it, that is when I can say, yes, I know, yes, I don't know, yes, I have read, yes, I have not read. Something. The avidya has been for know not from what time. Doesn't matter. The moment the buddhi recognizes the fact that this is only a reflected consciousness, there are few things that happen. I thought, meaning the buddhi thought, I was brilliant. I am borrowing this brilliance from the reflected consciousness. There is a thorough beating of humblingness. अपने आप को बड़ा मानते हैं. Suddenly you come to realize that I do not have the brilliance. Not only that I do not have the brilliance, that from which I am borrowing this brilliance is also a borrowed entity. Borrowed ka borrowed. Oh. So there is that humbling, that settling down. Until that is realized as to how incapacitated is that buddhi, that it has this severe limitation. All the agitations of self-assumed glory comes to an full stop. It comes to a stop. Then, after being humbled, it says, that means that which I am glowing with is borrowed from the source, from the reflected source. If it is a reflection, then there should be a source. Up to that point, there is vritti jnana, vritti of the source. The moment it recognizes that there is a source, vritti jnana has happened. Now it does not have to illumine that vritti jnana to confirm that that is vritti jnana. Its job is done. Avidya is removed. Swayamevātmā āvirbhavedātmā, it expresses itself without the need or authentication or bona fide recognition of the buddhi to say it exists, and it illumines. So what does realization mean? Realizing that, two steps again. Everything else is limited, including the buddhi. That is the first step. Second step, I am not this. Then the cognition of I am is not through the buddhi. It is self-effulgent, self-expressing. Avirbhava. In nirvikalpa samadhi, it starts to relish that benefit of it. But just because it relishes it doesn't mean it is authentifying the source. It does not have the capacity to authentify it, because it realizes and is already humbled. Whenever there is a question, why am I not grasping this? Why am I not understanding this? Because the buddhi is yet to be humbled. A very important event to happen when the buddhi is completely silenced, humbled. Silence not because of the force of do's and don'ts and thou shalt not, nothing like that. It's from its own realization as to how limited it has been. That's first part. The second part does not require the phala vyapti. Vritti vyapti has happened. Phala vyapti does not need to happen, because so far buddhi has been habituated to authentify with the phala vyapti. No more that phala vyapti is required. Meaning that which has been cognized, now it has to spread, it has to pervade, to authentify. Yes, it is this. That need not happen now. Not need to happen, will not happen now. Why? It is swayam prakasha rupakaha. There is a particular play about Shakespeare. He is running the stage. He is the writer, he is the script writer, he is the story writer, he is the director. In those days, there were not that many different roles. He would also design the costume, he would also decide about the costume. So he is running the entire show. Somebody else seems to have a more better authority than him on that stage. And says, who in heaven is this fellow? And he tries to turn and question him. He says, I am the one that funds you, them, and everything that is happening here. The moment he recognizes that from his theatrical world, which is the only thing he recognizes, oh, you are the one that is funding. Chup. Because he thought he was the boss. He is, but then when he understands, I am that because of who you can run all of this. Without who your story is only in the cupboard. It can find this vitality because of me. As soon as he realizes that is him, Shanto Bhutva, completely silenced. That is what has to happen to our buddhi. हर चीज पे उचक उचक के क्लेम करता है. Henceforth, no more uchkofying. I'm inventing new words to try explaining this. Once that humbling is realized and it sees the source, and the source is self-effulgent. But until we reach to that point, the buddhi will keep pricking, keep questioning. So therefore, yesterday also said that if your buddhi is still questioning, celebrate that moment because you are on the right track. So to cut short all of this, many masters would have said, you will certainly know it when you reach there. It is like your children in your car, you are driving to a destination, and right since the first turn out of your street, they start asking, Dad, are we there yet? Are we there yet? Are we there yet? So you patiently explain. After a lot of explanation, it's a long distance probably, or a long time that it takes to reach there. Traffic is heavy. The father says, you will know it when we reach there. But when? You will know it. Similarly, the buddhi constantly has that and that is very unsettling. Therefore, there is constant questioning. Seems improbable, seems futile. So it is evaluating, what is my ROI? I am investing so much of time, so much of effort. Early morning I could have done better things. Why am I here? What am I achieving? These are all mere words. They say that it is self-evident. अब तक self-evident क्यों नहीं हो रहा है? Because this aspect that I have to cognize it, I have to brand it, authorize it, bona fide certificate issued by the buddhi. Yes, it is right. That is the whole phala vyapti that it wants to do. But it has to logically understand that phala vyapti is not my turf in this particular issue. Because it is self-evident that even before it can be completely seen or experienced, its rays have already dispelled the darkness. And when it completely expresses itself, it is glowing forth, because its very nature is of knowledge or knowing, without the triputi. See, if I take an example, when the finer details of a particular project, I don't usually make a huge discussion of it in the groups or committees and so on. I leave that to the individual or that particular group to come to a consensus and decide. Otherwise, there's so much. No, we have to do it this way. We have to do it that way. Conceptually, do you understand? Yes, right. Now finalize that. You have the freedom. Because we have to do that phala vyapti and it is an addiction. My way of phala vyapti versus your way of phala vyapti, which is subtler, which is greater, which is more efficient. वहाँ पे किच 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 चलता रहता है. I don't enter the turf at all. Because there are millions of ways of doing it. So our ancient wisdom in Telugu is jihva ko ruchi, purra ko buddhi. The phala vyapti is different. Addicted to that phala vyapti, we now want to ascertain this experience. It is not something which is in your realm to do so. But you have to arrive to that point, not because the scriptures have said or the speaker is speaking. It is your buddhi that has to come to that assertion and understand that. That phala vyapti is not possible here. Why? It is not logical. Logic is the only magic that the buddhi can abide in. So once that is gained, the buddhi now has seen, vritti vyapti has happened. Phala vyapti is not required because it is self-evident, self-expressing, self-effulgent. Clear? Moving forward. आत्मा तु सततं प्राप्तः अपि अप्राप्तवदविद्यया तन्नाśe prāptavadbhāti svakaṇṭhābharaṇaṃ yathā. Sometimes we wear a ornament and you forgot taking it off before you sleep. Somewhere in the middle of the sleep, some discomfort, something pricking or has been pressed into you. So in half awareness, you have removed it and put it aside. And you wake up. ఇక్కడే ఉండిందండి. ఏమైందో? What happened? In some crevices on the bed it would be there. You're not creating it. All that which is obstructing it, when it is removed and it is revealed, Ammaya, Malli dorikindi. That is how we usually confirm. I regained it. Logically, it is an absurd statement because you have never lost it. The thought of you losing it was only your assumption that you have lost it. That which was blocking my understanding that it was lost, once that is removed, you are not creating another ornament. It will be so good, right? Every time you misplace it, you are creating another ornament. You become rich or rich. You are not creating something new. That which is already existing, you have become aware of it again. When you say you have regained it, you never lost it. You thought that you lost it. There was a little anxiety, kangaru. ఏమైందో ఎక్కడుందో ఏమైందో ఎక్కడుందో. And then one little layer moved. And you say, get that relief. It is not that you have remade it, regained it. It was already there, it got revealed. If the example is understood. Now let's go into the concept. Ātmā tu satataṃ prāptaha. This Atma Chaitanya is always, eternally been there. It has never ceased to exist. Satataṃ prāptaha. There are two kinds of prāpti. I don't know where I have explained this, but I have explained this concept. I think in the 15th chapter, I tried explaining it, because there are two names for the 15th chapter. Purushottama Yogaha and Purushottama Prāpti Yogaha. That must be it. So Purushottama Prāpti Yogaha, when we say, there is an objection. Prāptasya ka prāptihi. That which is already you, what are you talking of gaining it? It has always been you. You may have neglected it, but it has always been you. Eureka, Eureka, I found it, I found it. No, it was never lost. It was always there. There is a prāptasya ka prāptihi. So then there is an explanation given that aprāptasya prāptihi and prāptasya prāptihi. That which you do not have, that which you do not own, that which is not yours, you have strived hard and you now own it. Aprāpta vastuni prāptam kṛtva. You have now gained it. You have put your seal on it. This is now mine. This owning it is there in every living creature. Every living creature has its own methods. Dogs, cats, tigers, they mark their areas. How, I will not explain, you should know it. It will go to that perimeter and mark its zone. ये इलाका, ये अड्डा अपुन का है. Anybody else stepping in, that which it does not accept, a warning sign. You are entering into that which is mine. I have put my signature all around. That is a little, what to say, in Telugu, Banda example, very gross example. We do the same thing in a subtle way. No difference at all. That is aprāptasya prāptihi. But here when it is said prāpti, brahmavidātmānoti param sadeshabhyukta satyam jnānamanantam brahma yo veda nihitam guhāyām parame vyoman. Guess where it is from? Taittiriya Upanishad. Brahmavid apnoti, prāpnoti. So when such words are used, it is tricky because it is difficult because the buddhi immediately grasps it as something which is in the realm of its zone of Triputi. There is the knower, then there is the known, so vritti vyapti happens, and the jnana is the phala vyapti. So immediately we also prepare. Pull up the sleeves. This Atma Vastu now has to be in this realm of Triputi. That is not what they are trying to say when they say Apnoti. What they mean to say there is prāptavastuni, that which is already yours, that which is already you, not even yours. You are only cognizing it because you have neglected it so far. So, ātmā tu satataṃ. Tu is like here used in Hindi is a to. आत्मा तो पहले से तो था ही. आत्मा तो तुम पहले से तो हो ही. You have neglected that fact. Atma tu satataṃ prāptaha. It appears as though api aprāptavadbhāti. Because of avidya, I assumed that it has to be now gained. It has to now be owned. Not knowing where to search for it, I have searched for that purnatva everywhere else. And that habit has been for aneka janma. So the impression of this Triputi is very, very intimately, strongly rooted in aneka janma samprapta habit. So we assume that it is now to be a seeking, a searching, a finding, and then ascertaining. The eczema of the buddhi is, the subtler it gets, more intrigued it becomes. more enwebbed it becomes. That is why when you say, what is it? Surprise. What's happening? What is it? What is it? What is it? The enigma of it. The buddhi gets intrigued. Till when? Until it comes to first vritti vyapti and then phala vyapti. The ascertaining, it gets a kick out of it. That is why between the generations, it is always the tussle about this phala vyapti, knowing. Whenever you think that you are giving a subtle variation of understanding, but the next generation brushes it off saying, I know it already. You feel like, what do you know? Huh? What do you know? That is where the tussle becomes. Because your assumption is you are giving a very subtle variation which you have gained after a lifetime worth experience. There is a value to it. And this fellow is brushing it off. And then the generic comment is, this next generation I can't understand, Vilaka buddhi eppudu vastundo. Why? They are not in sync with your phala vyapti. They have already rubbished it. Most of the ego wars happen in this phala vyapti. If you have a broad spectrum of experience, it's a very subtle thing. As soon as you see that, there is that little tussle that is going towards that phala vyapti assertion and whose phala vyapti is greater than the other, best way, agree, it is done. And then what is the kick in it? Because now it has been intrigued for that long. When you hear the other say, you are right. I know. I have been right. I know. That is the heights of the subtle power of ego in expression. If you truly think that you are working as a sadhaka, recognize that pattern and don't get enmeshed in it. But then we have to prove ourselves. There are no buts here. If you understand the Siddhanta, there are millions of scope of phala vyapti. Each one is entitled for their own conclusion of phala vyapti. So be it. In matters of opinion, flow freely like water. In matters of principle, stay firm like a rock. What do? Something similar in matters of principle, chalta hai attitude. We flow like water. In matters of this phala vyapti, I want to be stupidly strong and fight for it. Now that habitual pattern, habitual error has to be wiped, has to be cleaned, has to be thoroughly washed away. In my head now I am thinking that I am giving a very simplified version of it. Hopefully I am getting across. But in reality, what exactly is happening in this particular phase? That there is nothing to be gained, nothing to be ascertained, nothing to be bona fide by the buddhi to say that this is aprāptasya prāpti. Now I am going to ascertain it. No, it is a prāpta vastu. It is already me. Aham sphurantas sada. It has always been throbbing as I, which has been borrowed by the reflected consciousness, which has been borrowed by the buddhi, it has been borrowed by the ahankara. Nityam sphurantam sada. It has always been there. But because of avidya, I have neglected it. I have not focused on it. Clear? Now going to the next sentence. Tannāśe. Once, not ātmā-nāśe. Now there are two things referred here. Atma also and avidya also. Whose nāśa? Avidya-nāśe. Tannāśe. When that avidya is wiped out, and it is one-time job. Once that avidya is removed, it automatically reveals itself. Atma-jnana has happened. It is that simple. You must be thinking, ఏం సింపుల్. ఇన్ని సంవత్సరాల నుంచి కుస్తీ చేస్తూనే ఉన్నాము. And you come and say with one sentence of a shloka, one fourth of a shloka, and say, it is so simple. That complexity is because our habitual, erroneous, errorsome perspective is still haunting us. Therefore, as much as when you wake up, taking a shower, brushing your teeth, cleaning up is a necessity, similarly, along with your puja japa, this contemplation also has to be an intensified sadhana included without fail. That you spend that time in this Atma Vichara. Once on the seat of meditation, you get a hang of it. Then you extend it. You extend it into the phases wherein there are those silent pockets of time in our life wherein you have done with few responsibilities, there is no more responsibility, you know it will be in couple of hours or couple of days, you have that pocket. Spend intensely on that. Then extend it, because in that extension there is no vyavahara there. Even in that, when you extend it to vyavahara, in non-interactive vyavahara, there is no other vyakti. Like you are cleaning up your room, you are taking shower, you are drinking a cup of tea all by yourself. What should be the vichara? It should be this Atma Vichara. Slowly, steadily you are now reclaiming all the encroached spaces. We talk about bhukabja. The internal space has been occupied by all other nonsense. You have to now reclaim it. And through all of those time and space, your constant vichara should be this. Tat shravanam, tat kathanam, anyonyam tat prabodhanam. Like you were saying, once you get to that point, your day-to-day lifestyle will find a change. The kinds of friends that want to associate with you will change. Because their vyavahara, their phalavyapti is in different field. Now your phalavyapti has changed into a different field. They can't connect with your intensity. It will change. That should not be the scary part. ఏంటో అంతా మారిపోతుంది. Yes, that which was a very unclear perspective, after you put on the glasses, you're doing that to change that perspective, right? See, it will change. And once all these erroneous errors, habitual errors, most of it at least, have been catered to, you still have to work on this very crucial one, where the buddhi has this habitual error. And what is its habitual error? It has to certainly ascertain that this is the phalavyapti. That is when it will claim, I have now ascertained my understanding. This is one field where it is not required by the buddhi to ascertain. Clear? Tannāśe prāptavadbhāti. It appears as if I have regained. But that vocabulary is wrong, logically. You have only come to be aware of that which you already are. tannāśe prāptavadbhāti svakaṇṭhābharaṇaṃ yathā. See, earlier when we started, we used to go through one shloka. As the concepts are getting stronger foundation, we move to 2 shlokas. Now we are able to have a better strike rate, that we are going through almost 3 shlokas. Because now I have to just connect those dots which have been laid. You just have to pull all of it and rearrange it, it falls in place. The 45th shloka. Sthanau purushavat bhrāntya kṛta brahmani jīvatā जीवस्य तात्विके रूपे तस्मिन् दृष्टे निवर्तते. Gurudev used to give an example that in his early days in the 50s, when people had no interest in Vedanta Shravana, no affiliation to listen to Vedanta in English. It seems he was in the then Madras, Chennai. People would not even give a place to stay, accommodate. So finally he got a place where it was supposed to be a haunted house, old bungalow, a 2-storied bungalow, a haunted house was given. Then you can stay there and do your prachara from there. So in those days he was a single man army. He would wash his own clothes, he would cook for himself, he would do his prachar, he would do his pravachan. Prachar meaning publicity, PR. He would go on a cycle in busy intersections, cycle also borrowed from somebody else. That somebody, he would ride them, drop them off at their office, borrow that, because while they are at office, their cycle is not being used, so he'll borrow that, go into a busy intersection wherein all these, in Gurudev's words, educated fools would be transactioning. So he would go into that intersection where there are a lot of engineers, doctors, lawyers, and park his cycle, find a high platform, take out his angavastra, tie it on his head, and make a paper cone and start announcing. So he would start announcing, saying, a great Mahatma from Himalayas has arrived into your city. Swami Chinmayananda. Who is talking about it? Himself. अभी अपने को अपना काम करने के लिए 10 लोग चाहिए. एक छोटा सा काम करने के लिए इसको कॉल करो, उसको कॉल करो, उसको कॉल करो. At the end of the day, it might have been just flipping a switch. But for that, we need to have like 7 phone calls. Daurbhagya. Then he would advertise, come back, and whatever was the morning talk, there would be at least about 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 stenographers. They would write it in shorthand. He would write all of that on a cyclostyle paper. He would write it in his handwriting and get the entire talk of the morning. Keep it cyclostyled, printed, ready. In those days, there was no photocopy. Cyclostyle, if you know what I mean. Okay, and get how many ever members that would come in the morning. He would keep the earlier day notes ready for the next day. Morning ka morning ke liye, evening ka evening ke liye, he would keep it ready. So he would wash his clothes in the evening. You know those dhotis, when you open it up, it is about 6 yards. So you would open it. So he would go to the second stairs, and from there leave it, hang it open, and with that sultry weather of Chennai, in half an hour it would all dry out. And he would be inside with a lamp lit, writing his whatever work. All our Kenopanishad, Prashnopanishad, all these Upanishads came out into a book format because of those cyclostyled copies. So he would write. So next day when he went for the morning lecture, people said, "Are you okay?" He said, "Why? What happened?" "Yesterday we were passing through that street. There was this huge ghost. It had a red tongue hanging out, and it was waving as though hungry to eat us all." And Gurudev would also have fun at them. He said, "Come today night. I will show you that I have captured it." And when the scared people would be brought to the second floor, and from the second floor when he would show, "This is the ghost and its red tongue, it is my dhoti hanging for drying," they would have a good hearty laugh. something similar as an example. There is a stambha. A tree or something was cut. To uproot it, you need special skills. Cutting, chopping, you can do to a certain level. So, after the tree was cut, it was sold, somebody took it, the rest of it is still there. They have to still work at it. There may be 2 branches still hanging onto that tree stump. And in the night you are walking in that street, it was semi-lit, and because of the wind, the tree must have had some twigs and some leaves on it. And to add to that, you were also studying some kind of, or reading some kind of crime thriller novel. So your buddhi is working in that angle. Suddenly you see, or some ghost story. I saw a ghost. And the owner throws the light on it. As soon as the light is thrown upon it, dayyam kadanamata. It is only a cut tree stump which is left behind. It just reminds me a very cute experience that happened several years ago, 15, 18 years ago. It seems there used to be a song, Hridayam Ekkadundi. Hridayam Ekkadundi, Hridayam Ekkadundi. నీ చుట్టూనే తిరుగుతున్నది. That is supposed to be the song. This young little girl, she came to me and said, Swamiji, I have learnt a song. It is that age where all the syllables are not still pronounceable. So she ended up singing this. Dayyam ekkadunnadi, dayyam ekkadunnadi, నీ చుట్టూనే తిరుగుతున్నది. So it is an assumption that in my own ignorance I have projected a ghost or a thief. So the stambha, sthanu, purushavat bhāntya. The tree stump is being assumed by my own ignorance and various other impressions that it is a thief or it is a ghost. Then it says, Tātvike rūpe tasmin drishte. The moment you throw light on it and you see what exactly it is, tannivartate. All that bhranti has gone. All the effects of that bhranti are also wiped out clean. Similarly, bhrantya kṛta brahmani jivata. This reflected consciousness is assumed to be a great entity which is projected as a reality on the substratum of Brahman. We come to, arguments and fights and say, "Ipudu meer cheppandi ever correct?" The original thing is both wrong from that standpoint. You are also not Jiva, that fellow is also not Jiva, your fight is also not real. Am I getting across? So somebody asked Gurudev, if all of this is just mithya, then why did you establish a Chinmaya mission? Why did you establish organizations like VHP and things like that. Why? It is also Bhranti. Because I said, my establishing them also Bhranti. But the establishment of these things is necessary because one organization is to protect that environment where this knowledge can be given. One is for protection and the second one is for giving that knowledge. Both have to happen. But from what understanding? Not from bhaya or dvesha. It is from the clarity that this knowledge is important. Therefore, the effort has a sense of meaningfulness and direction. Though it is still in vyavahara. Otherwise, the rest of the things, the moment in some heated argument, step back. But where am I getting unnecessarily distracted with? The moment you recognize it, you can only have a big smile internally. In argument, don't smile outside. Yo. Big smile internally. That standpoint from which we are arguing, that itself is wrong. Being the jiva. Because that is bhrantya kalpita vastu. And that bhranta vastu is now talking about right and wrong. Your very existence is wrong. What to talk of your standpoints of right, wrong, moral, ethics, all of that is gone for toss. Am I getting across? But if you say this and without having realized you toss all of it before you reach, it will create chaos, confusion. Therefore, the swadharma, though it is main, dharma shastra is also important, where the values are ascertained, the principles are ascertained and hammered down again and again, so that there is a structure to reach to this point. To reach to what point? To realize that this jiva is an assumption reality, assumed reality. All that you have to do is devalue the value given to this assumed reality. Am I getting across? See, the way I tend to function, I'll just give you a personal example. When somebody comes, talks to me, either censuring or ridiculing, if it is at a personal level, I said, thank you. Thank you for your opinion. I'll think through. Because what are you talking of is of the jiva. That who you are talking as right or wrong, good or bad, that fellow's entity itself is bhranti. What do I give value to that? But when it comes to vyavahara, my vyavahara is this mission, structure and its discipline. There, I will be mercilessly very, very strict. But personally, it has absolutely no value. Am I getting across? If that distinction is recognized and applied properly, one thing is assured. Not about the Jagat and the other jivas. You personally will be at peace and you will be able to sleep in spite of chaos around, peacefully. Doesn't it bother you, Swamiji? How can you be so... So then you put on that cap and act in that environment. That act sincerely though. Give your 100%. Act sincerely. That it is the most vital thing. Give it 100%. Like yesterday I was with a group of kids. And to them I had to talk about a vision, a purpose, a goal, an inspiration, a motivation. In that age, I cannot say, you are mithya, your world is mithya, your efforts are mithya. Ayyo. Though that is a fact, but at that age, they have to now get out of tamasic to rajasic, rajasic to sattvic, and that is how it has to be channelized. There is no other way. And at that time giving, knowing that the fellow who is giving also is mithya. But then from that kind of distasteful distance I cannot do justice. So I participate with that cap on in complete sincerity, 100%. And you see that little innocent fellows, they have a notebook, they have notes and they're writing. Okay, I will repeat. And when you see that the majority is not gotten the point, so I repeat it again. It is sincerely writing down. That is not the time for me to say, this is mithya, what writing, what not writing. No, at that point that is required. But for yourself, be in that state. I hope I got across. So let us stop here. Thank you for the extra 7 minutes. I think I overwent. Om sarve bhavantu sukhinah, sarve santu niramayaः, sarve bhadrani pashyantu, ma kasyid dukkha bhag bhavet, asato ma satgamaya, tamaso ma jyotirgamaya, mrityorma amritangamaya. Om purnamadah purnamidam purnat purnamudachyate, asya purnamadaya purnameva vasishyate. Om shant shant shanti. Hari Om. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.